All right. People will start coming in. I'm trying not to start the videos off too long. Hi, Drea. How are you? So good to see you here. So, I'm kind of contemplating, guys. Let me know if you think it'd be a better idea to maybe start doing the live chats a little later, because I do notice that sometimes when it goes a little later, more people come in. Um, so if you think it'd be a good idea to do that, let me know. I'll be more than glad to do it. It means it gives me a little bit more time to set up and prepare things. I'm doing good, sweetheart. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How was your weekend? Mine was pretty good. Got to chill with my friend again, Amanda. We got to do another video for Sip Chat again. Um, it was, as always, fun, as always. Have a good time. And, just got to be a little lazy in the house, just chilling. The weather's been really like cold and damp. So it's like, that chill at home weather, which I don't know about you guys, but I love it. We're coming into fall. We are in fall, but I love it, and I get to sit at home and watch scary movies all the time. Do I like the? I don't. Well, where are you from? Because I'm from New York. So if you're familiar with New York, you know that New York, we get like a different mixture of all types of weather going on out here. So, oh, from Harlem. Okay. Awesome. I'm originally from Brooklyn, so not too far from each other, not too far at all. So guys, I do see more people are coming in, and that's great to see. Who else do we have? Oh, Butch, welcome. Welcome. Perfect weather, not too hot and not too cold. Yep. That's how we like it. Not too hot, not too cold. I'm not a fan of the heat, so you guys know I'm not a summer person. I'm a winter baby. I love the winter. That's me. It's good hair weather too. I'm such a girl. Don't judge me. But so yeah, guys, we see more people are coming in, which is great. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Trying really hard not to spend too much time setting up or sitting here waiting for people to come in. And we have, who do we have? Samantha. Hi, Samantha Cruz. Hi, Samantha. So glad you were able to come. So glad you guys. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm really, really glad, and you guys really make it worth. You make all this work that I'm doing and all this studying that I'm doing so worth it, and I'm really, really glad that we can sit and chat for a little bit. But so let's just get into it, because that's what we're here for, right? So guys, from last week, I spoke about a lot of different things, going down to narcissism. I've been bouncing around. I was talking about, I believe, the discard. That was one of the things that I was talking about. This week, what I wanted to do was, hi, Clarabelle. Welcome. So glad you can make it. So glad you're here. So last week we were talking about the discard, and we were talking about the different emotions and the different things that the narcissist will do in effort to pretty much get their way, whichever way we look at it, because that's pretty much what they like to do. Now, this past weekend, I did spend time studying, because I've been studying Psych 101, because you guys know that I am going back to school come spring semester. So I wanted to kind of like get my brush up going on. And this book is really good, by the way. So far, it gives you a list of different psychologists and, their theories and how they manage to work with patients and manage to learn things about their psyche. So what I've learned so far, and how I correlate it with narcissism, because the human psyche, it covers so many different things. But what I've learned as far as narcissism is concerned is that it is a form of conditioned learning. And pretty much when you hear the word condition, what do you think of? Like for me, when I hear condition, I hear conditioner. And like the conditioner we put in our hair, It's meant to cover, it's meant to saturate, it's meant to give the look of, you know, beautiful, luxurious, shiny hair. And over time, if you condition your hair enough, you're giving it certain things. You're basically training your hair, you're treating your hair. So when it comes to narcissism, I pretty much correlate that with conditioned learning. Narcissists are pretty much people who have been conditioned to learn a certain type of behavior. Okay. Now, if you notice, narcissistic personality disorder is a personality disorder, but it's not considered so much a mental illness. But if you think about it, because we have pathological narcissism, which is pretty much the use of manipulation and manipulative tactics to get certain things out of people and out of situations, you got to really sit there and say to yourself, yeah, you know what? Most may not consider it a mental illness, but it actually is. It's kind of like being a kleptomaniac, you know, someone who can't help themselves when they're stealing from people. That's pretty much how a narcissist is. But with a narcissist, we know that they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They just don't know. In some cases, they don't know why they're doing it. They know what they're doing, but they don't know why they're doing it. And they are the way they are because they were conditioned to be that way. They were conditioned to believe that manipulation, utilizing certain tactics will give them what it is that they want out of a situation. So in this case, when we spoke last week in regards to the discard, they pretty much got what they wanted from the situation. They got what they wanted from you. And they basically decided, okay, I'm done with it. I mean, remember, I told you guys there are two types. The first one is, of course, the one who is afraid of abandonment. They're afraid that you're going to leave them first. So they're going to basically do what they have to do to discard you. And unfortunately, that results in humiliation. It results in degradation. It results in so many unnecessary things, so many things that you sit there and say to yourself, how could a person be this way? It's not really necessary. But they end up doing certain things to hurt you, to, of course, violate your trust, which, you know, then you start to look at them like, I can't trust you after everything you did. And they will try to find other ways to come back if they feel that the supply that they're getting on the outskirts is not sufficient for them. It's not doing it for them. So, you know, let me find my way back to you. And then you have the other narcissists who just get bored. They get bored easily. They're just like, you know what? Yeah, you're not doing it for me. This isn't doing it for me. So, you know, I got some people over here that are giving me some attention. So I'm going to go over there and see what that's all about. They have that whole grass is greener syndrome. I don't believe that to be a syndrome. I just believe that people, you know, narcissists are pretty much people who make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. So they're pretty much willing to sacrifice other people based on an emotion that they're feeling at that precise moment. And it's really sad. Truthfully, it is. I mean, to, you know, not really think about the consequences that you're going to face by making certain decisions, but, you know, that's how they are. They're kind of like the renegades, you can say. They're very impulsive. You know, when we hear the word narcissist, what's your word of association? You know, we have so many of them. You know, impulsivity, arrogance, egotism, selfishness, inconsideration. You know, you have so many different, and they're all negative. They're all negative. If you correlate anything with a narcissist, it's nothing but negativity. That's all it is. So needless to say, when you have someone who is a codependent or an empath, or, you know, someone who's just a really feeling person who just, you know, wants love, unfortunately, and whether the narcissist is your relative, because they can be your parents too. It doesn't just have to be a love interest. It could be anyone. Thank you, Samantha. I'm glad I'm able to do that. I'm glad. And in learning this book, learning the different, you know, tricks and trades of the human psyche, it definitely helps because it helps break everything down. And it helps that I'm able to, you know, to break it down for you guys. So, you know, I think what was it, Einstein who said it? If you can't If you can't easily explain it, then you still have to, learn it more, something to that effect. So I definitely take that into consideration, but thank you. But yeah, it could be your family, it could be your parents, it could be, it doesn't have to just be love interest. It could be mom, it could be dad. Um, you I just recently was going over a video that I had did earlier when I first started the channel, and I was looking at the video of daughters of narcissist mothers. And for you guys, or girls, whatever your preference is, when you're dealing with a female who is narcissistic, emotionally unavailable, dealing with a female who is, pretty much just about her self gratification. Understand that, and I'm not making excuses for them, because you guys know me, I don't make excuses for narcissists, but they did learn that. They learned it somewhere. They learned it from someone. You're not born a narcissist. No one is. Just like we're not born codependents. We are trained to be that way. And in learning in this book, I learned that, a psychologist learned about kind of like conditioned beliefs. So, it pretty much what their parents did was they conditioned them to believe that emotions are bad. Emotions are a sign of weakness. They're no good. If you're emotional, you're weak. That's how a narcissist thinks. That's why a narcissist cannot become emotionally attached. I also mentioned last week when, we say, well, we wonder, why does a narcissist want to be in our lives if they can't emotionally attach, if they can't do any of these things? Well, but yet they do demonstrate certain things. So they'll demonstrate certain behaviors. Reason being, because they're mirroring you. They're mirroring the things that you do. They are pretty much, it's like to say, okay, if you go and you, let's say you have a narcissist partner, and you say, well, you know what, it's our 6-month anniversary. I want to buy you, get something nice. I mean, in normal circumstances, a narcissist is not even going to think of that. They're not thinking about the emotional and, the memorable types of feelings or the memorable types of actions. What they're thinking of is, okay, this is what you're doing, so I have to appease you. So I'm going to go and get a gift. You take that as genuineness. You take that as, the person really cares, the person really loves me, the person really adores me. And again, not just with romantic relationships, it could be your family members too. You take all of that and you internalize that as love, when the reality of it is that they need to appease you to give you the impression that, one, they're normal, and two, that they are genuinely interested in being in this dynamic with you, which when their main concern is gaining narcissistic supply. Their main concern is, well, you know what, if I want this, I'm gonna have to do this. And it's like pulling teeth with them, but they have to put on a show. Now you do have, it's already getting hot in here, guys. I got all these lights on me. You do have certain types of narcissists that are extremely charming. One thing we got to remember is that not all narcissists are the same. We know that already. Not all of them are the same. You have some that can be extremely charming, extremely forthcoming. They can be, very what you would perceive as outgoing, great personality. They're just so many different things that you would consider them to be your soulmate. And then you do have some narcissists that are, very negative. They're just downright, like, they emit narcissism. You could just feel it, and you can see it on them. Those are usually I would consider, like, for example, overt narcissists. The overt ones are the loud and obnoxious ones, and they are the ones who pretty much don't care how it comes out, when it comes out, and with whom it comes out. They don't care about it. They just care about getting it out and possibly like stinging you in the process, even if it's in front of people. The covert ones, however, are the ones who have to work extra hard. They're the ones who have to work hard because they're doing things behind the scene. So they have to show the world that they are perfection, They're humble, they're loving, they're caring, they're giving. And, if you are the victim of narcissistic abuse, you would look and you would, I'm sorry, Clarabelle. Okay. Awesome on the sip and chat. Definitely loved doing that. Did I ever get, no, I didn't. I actually, I had to do it on my own. I had to. I had to do it on my own. I had to pretty much just cut ties. Didn't just, say, I said my farewell. I, did what I had to do, and it was hard. It was really, really hard to do that. But I didn't know then what I know now. Because if I had known then a lot of what I know now, then I probably would have been able to do it probably way before the actual discard. Drea, do you have any tips on how to function living with a narc? My grandmother is covert. I'm in grind mode working on getting my own. Okay. Samantha, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And trust me, you know what? If I can do it, anybody can do it. You don't necessarily, Drea, I'm gonna give you that in a second. You don't necessarily have to have you don't have to sit there and wait for closure. Sometimes you have to do it yourself, because narcissists, they are the types that they'd rather deflect, they'd rather blame you, they'd rather everyone else on the outskirts believe that you are the one at fault for whatever has gone wrong in the dynamic that you were in with them, than admit, apologize, and give you the proper respect that you deserve, because that's a sign of weakness for them. That's a sign of, if I tried to do these things, well, first of all, it wouldn't be genuine. It wouldn't be genuine. The apologies are usually never genuine. The apologies are usually given to you based off of what it is they're feeling, based off of the discontent that they are feeling. It's not based on, I hurt you. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to say these things to you. I never meant to do any of those things. Truth be told, they did mean them, because at that time they were trying to, get whatever else it was that they were going, they were looking for. But it's usually best to just, you take care of your closure. And by you doing so, you'd actually surprise a lot of them. You would surprise a lot of them, because when they sat there thinking that you are incapable of being strong enough, and incapable of letting go, and incapable of, releasing them, when you decide to give your own closure and you decide to just say, no, I'm cutting it off, they would actually be shocked by your ability to do so. Because not only have you shown them that you're the bigger person, but you've shown them that you're the stronger person, and that you don't need them. You don't need that dynamic, and you respect yourself. You respect yourself. That's the key thing, is respecting ourselves. I mean, narc or not, you respect yourself. That's the main important thing. Narcissists don't have self-respect. So at the end of the day, if they don't have it for themselves, they're really not going to have it for you. So your self-respect is just what's important out of the whole thing. Now, Drea, do you have any tips on how to function? Okay. I know how hard it can be living with a narcissist, especially in this economy right now, especially when it's kind of hard. You gotta save money, you gotta, and even and in the interim of saving money, you have to contribute, because how everybody is. If you live under their roof, you go by their rules. Unfortunately, with parents who are narcissists or extreme manipulators, they like to push the envelope, and they like to not only say, this is my house, you go by my rules, but it's also my way or the highway. It's, you do what I say because I have you by the balls, or you can get the hell out, knowing that you would be struggling, knowing that it would be something hard for you. And uh, uh, Para Bolton. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, and thank you for joining. Yeah, Drea, but I know unfortunately, I know those circumstances, and the most I can tell you to do in the interim right now, because we got so much that we're dealing with, and we got so much with COVID, and you have to it's just it's restricted so much. The one thing I would say, while you're still there, number one, don't internalize, do not take anything personally. Do not, especially since you already know that grandma is a narc, unfortunately. Don't take anything personally. Try not to be aggressive. It's hard. I know that part is hard, because being non-aggressive with someone who likes to poke and prod and do all kinds of things is like, it's kind of like you're like this, you're sitting in your corner and you're like, oh my God, I'm about to really go at it with this person. I know that's hard, but try not to let it get to you. Try to understand that the reason she's doing this is because that's her nature. That's typically, that's something that she was raised with, and that's something that was done to her. And since it was something that was done to her, she's passing that on to you. But you have the opportunity to break that cycle, even though right now it's kind of hard to do that because you have to be in within the same home. I say this all the time, ignorance is bliss. So try to learn how to ignore anything that is irrelevant, anything that is illogical, anything that has no relevance to the dynamic, to what it is that you have going on. If you're there as her caretaker, if you're there as her caretaker or caregiver, caregiver, if you're there taking care of her, there you go. Just do that part, just listen, I'm here to take care of you, whatever the case may be, but you don't have to take it any further. It's kind of like being in a workplace, with narcissists, where you're just like, I don't really want to be here, but I have no choice because I got to make money. I have no choice because right now, with everything that's going on out there in the world, I need to hold on to this job. So you basically just do things with limitations, do things with extreme limitations. A lot of the time I tell people, ignore any attempts when they attempt to annoy you, when they attempt to verbally attack you, when they attempt to do certain things that you're just like, it just doesn't make any sense. It just has no kind of relevance whatsoever. Definitely avoid them at all costs. But with this situation, because again, the living situation, I know it's hard. It would probably just be best to I don't want to say roll with the punches, but just kind of bob and weave, you bob and weave, and continue with your grind. Continue saving your money. Continue. Put that focus. Keep that focus there. And once all is said and done, and you're able to get up and say, all right, I'm out this bitch. I'm gonna get my own place, and I don't need to deal with this anymore. You don't have to deal with it anymore. Mentally, you don't have to deal with it. Don't internalize anything. Don't take anything that she's telling you. Just be like, you know what? All right. You like block people out. I used to do that. I used to put my headphones in and just block them out. Like, I don't hear nothing. I don't hear anything. All right, whatever. Because they love to talk. So let them talk. Let her talk. Let her talk. Let her say and do what she wants to do. Usually narcissists will, because by the behaviors, my guess is you're a scapegoat. That's my guess. And if you're a scapegoat, then yeah, and especially if you're the only person there. If you're the only person there, then you would be her emotional punching bag. Yeah. You would be her emotional punching bag. If there was someone else there, depending on how she's feeling about the other person too, it would probably be thrown back and forth. So it'll, like, your role would probably be rotated around. But if you're the only one there, If you live solely with a narcissist, guys, you will be a scapegoat. You will be the emotional punching bag. You will be the one that they will take out everything, take out everything on you and not think twice about it. So I know it's hard with COVID. COVID is like really, really messed us up. So, but I also have I have a video, Drea, on during COVID. It's on one of the playlists, and it tells you some of the things to do during the pandemic, being with the narcissist, living with the narcissist, which would apply to people also who really can't afford to leave. They can't afford to move. So if, they have to deal with them. And in that one, it gives you some of the tips on how to deal with them during this time. But definitely continue your grind. Continue your grind. And, I'm definitely going to keep you in my prayers for that, because I know that struggle. I know that struggle, trust me. And it's not easy, but you definitely will be able to get through it. Awesome. All right, you're very welcome, Drea. But yeah, guys, so when it boils down to their behaviors, when it boils down to their ideals, their ideas, I mean, narcissists were pretty much trained to be the way they are. They were trained by people who are either extremely narcissistic, or they're just straight up narcissists. And studying this book and learning that narcissists are a product of, it's called classic conditioning by learning by association. So if you have a narcissist father or narcissist mother, and I'm not saying you're a narcissist, but let's say, for example, you are a narcissist. Over time, what the parents did was, and of course, this is something that they've learned when they were kids, they've implemented certain types of behaviors towards the kids, and creating, little narcissist junior or little codependent junior, depending on how they took their afflictions. Now, the narcissist pretty much took in everything that the narcissist parent was throwing at them. They could have had a parent who was verbally abusive. They could have had a parent who was physically abusive. They could have had a parent who was emotionally abusive. So let's say, for example, you have a father who's a narcissist, and the father trained the boys to believe that shut your emotions off, because emotions are for girls. And if the boy cries, for whatever reason, the boy cries, because young children have empathy, okay? It's the adults that have been trained all these years to where they just shut off their empathy. But young children have empathy. And if the boy cries and, the father sees that, if he has an extremely narcissistic father, the father will lash at him. The father will beat him. The father will spew nasty things to him. And the boy will internalize that, believing that, if I cry, my dad is going to think that I'm not a man. If I show emotions, my dad is not going to think that, that I'm a man. He's going to think that I'm a little girl, like, that I'm being full, lack of a better word, bitch. And what the boy will generally do is he'll shut off his emotions. He'll shut off his emotions, and he will pretty much just be completely detached. So the emotional attachment is not there. I correlate narcissist with avoidant attachment. They are emotionally detached. Now, during the course of the time, as the boy is getting older, the father is going to give him very confusing behavior. So one minute the father wants, to have him by his side, and, he's my son and he's feeling proud of him. And then the next minute the father's pushing him away and, pretty much showing him that he wants nothing to do with him. He's just basically confusing him. So now, going from being on a high pedestal to being torn down. Remember, we talked about this in the other live, even with the narcissist mother. She'll put her children on the high pedestal and then she'll tear them down. That's that control. So the father has that type of emotional and mental control over his son. His son over time is basically going to, as a result of what his father taught him, is just going to grow up to be completely emotionally avoidant. He's going to completely shut down any type of emotions, and he's going to go a route that will acquire what he wants without having to use any type of real genuine emotions. That's normally what is it, emotionally excuse me guys, emotionally unavailable man, where he'll internalize that and he would just become, so if any of you are dealing with men who are emotionally unavailable, who are emotionally I say emotionally emasculated, just understand that, and I know it hurts, because when you end a relationship with someone, or someone ends a relationship with you that was emotionally unavailable, they're not going to, that's just within them, even if you cry in front of them. But a narcissist, however, will go through certain routes to get what it is they want from a situation, because their parents did that to them. So the father basically put it as, well, you feed me my narcissistic supply, you do what I say, you come under my wing, you follow me, you do everything that will gratify me, and I will give you something in return that is not quite love, but it's something that you're going to perceive as love. And of course, over time, that's how the boy was raised. He had to gratify his father. He had to satisfy his father to gain what he perceived as love. So if you notice, that's how narcissists are, where if things are going great in a relationship, they will take credit for it. By this one, no. Not my recent one. No. That's one thing I can say, that he actually would not go that route. And I'm thankful for that, but he would, if he felt himself getting to that point of anger, if he felt himself getting to that point of frustration, and in some cases, because I don't put my hands on anyone. I don't put my hands on a man. I don't put my hands on anyone. But if he felt himself getting really upset to a certain extent, he would turn away. He'd walk away. Like that was the one thing I can give him on that. He wouldn't get physically abusive. But there were times where I can sense, and there were times that he was verbally, he was extremely, he had become extremely callous and cold, and just really, he just said things that I till this day, I'm still kind of healing from those wounds, because it hit me really hard. It was very personal, and it hit me extremely hard. And of course, it was stuff that was told in confidence, but but you know what? I learned that when it comes to certain types of behaviors, they do use certain things as defense mechanisms. The defense mechanisms are pretty much where they kind of like, they want to get you as far away as possible, because they're going through a trigger moment, or they're going through, they got like certain things going on in their head. I mean, listen, let me tell you guys something. If ever you're dealing with a narcissist and they are enduring narcissistic rage is pretty much where they're having their own kind of trigger moment. I strongly advise that you do not press, you do not push, you do not try to poke and prod, because they can probably have similar to psychotic episodes. Okay, so you have to be very careful. If you know someone is a narcissist, you have to be extremely careful, because narcissists can be, I mean, they're narcissist is borderline sociopath. On the spectrum, narcissism, sociopathy, and then you have the psychopaths at the end. If they are in a moment of rage, extreme anger, do not, do not try to don't try to poke and prod. Samantha, yes. Clarabelle, no. I since no. I actually personally don't want to hear from them. That's my honest, my honest response to that. I don't, because when you learn how people are, I learned a lot of different things. I've learned a lot of different things about a lot of different people. And when I look back at it, it did not, what seemed genuine, what seemed real, what seemed like, something very close knit. People I thought cared about me. People, I mean, because mind you, I was not, I was a very respectful person. I was very, which is why I found it kind of odd that they were, that no one said a word to me. No one even bothered to reach out. I guess it was kind of like another one bites the dust, and it was really odd to me, because I was very caring, empathetic, very emotional, very respectful. I was, completely respectful, very forthcoming, very genuine, very sincere. And I'm not bragging on these qualities. That's just generally who I am, because I'm an extremely emotional being. I'm an extremely emotional person. So when I did not hear anything, when I did not get, any type of, everything that I ignored before, I kind of put like two and two together. I put two and two together now. And now that I know what I know, and now that I can clearly understand things, I personally do not want any of them reaching out to me. I do not want, because I might have some really poor choice words for them. So I think it would be better that we didn't say anything. But I've learned that I learned a lot of other things that I felt were didn't like. You know how you notice situations if you're dealing with someone and you notice certain things, but it doesn't look right, and you're like, yeah, yeah, yes, Samantha, absolutely. I mean, when you're in certain dynamics with people, you don't notice certain things because you're not really looking for certain things. But keywords, trigger words, words of association. You pay attention to certain people, you pay attention to certain conversations. You notice how certain words or certain phrases or certain things kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And it makes you kind of like in the back of your head. You don't say anything right then and there, but in the back of your head, you think about it. And you're just like, you don't want to overthink, because manipulative people will make you feel like you're overthinking. They'll make you feel like, oh, you're thinking a little too much into this. You're doing a little too much of this. You're doing a little too much of that. And that's what it taught me. It taught me that everything that I picked up at that time, that I had in the back of my head, everything that I was thinking about at that time, that I just threw it to the back of my head, because I was led to believe that you're overthinking things, Erica. You're overthinking things. You're overthinking this. You're overthinking that. And I'm like, no, but listen, just for a second, this doesn't sound right. Think about it. X, Y, and Z. Does that sound right to you? No, just forget about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. When I learned different things after the whole situation, I pretty much was like, I don't give a fuck if anybody reaches out to me. Do not care. Quite frankly, they're not my family, not my monkeys, not my circus, you know? And if they're willing to, yes, it was. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, when you are a genuine person, when you know you want the best for everybody, right? You don't know a manipulator is a manipulator until after the fact, until after everything is done. But even so, at that time, when you are in a dynamic with someone who may be surrounded by manipulators, because remember, it's conditioned belief. So if he were a certain way, if he was a certain way towards me, he didn't do that on his own. He learned that somewhere. He learned it. He learned it, and it was considered acceptable. It was considered okay. It was considered the norm, because just like I said in my last video, pay attention to family dynamics. Pay attention to how everyone talks to each other. Pay attention to how everyone is with one another, because you're going to see, especially when you're not part, like you didn't grow up in that dynamic. So certain things, you're pretty much standing on the outside looking in. So if you look at certain things and you're like, that makes absolutely no sense. It's because it doesn't. It's because your logic and their ideals are not, they're like oil and water. It does not make sense to you. And of course, if you try to approach a situation, or if you try to tell, listen, you might want to speak to this person about X, Y, and Z because this just doesn't look right. Gaslighting is not only done by a narcissist that you're involved with, it's done by their family as well. Whether the gaslighting be done towards the narcissist or towards you. Because if you think about it, let's say you're with someone who, you know, is extremely narcissistic, all right? Or, you know, we'll do one that has NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. And that person is gaslighting you. And let's say their mother is a narcissist. They're gaslighting you because their mother gaslights them. Their mother instilled in them all of the tricks and trade of the game. So, you know, when you look back at everything, when you separate yourself and you stand on the outside and you say, okay, certain things will point out, certain things will pop out to you. Now I understand why that was the way that was. Now I understand. And when you hear about family members who absolutely have nothing to do with the family, they don't want nothing to do with the family. They're like, nope, I don't give a shit. I don't want nothing to do with you. Those are the black sheep. It was a lot of different things. It was certain behaviors, certain things that that just didn't seem right. I mean, like I said in the second video of the first sip chat that me and my friend did, I saw things that were just, from an emotional standpoint, from an empathic standpoint, just did not seem right. It didn't seem right. They were okay with certain types of behaviors. They were okay with certain, like with the way they would speak with one another, or the way they would, it's just like, there was a lot of egotism, a lot of it, but more so it was just, it's just like toxic behavior was acceptable. Toxic behavior was acceptable. Attitudes were considered acceptable. There were things that were confided in me that, you know, I till this day, I keep, you know, I'm like, listen, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, at the end of the day, if you tell me, Eric, I'm telling you this in confidence, that stays with me. But there were certain things that my role in that dynamic was, it was a cause of concern. It really was. It was, you know, the cause of concern was also what was infringing on the relationship. So, you know, it's just like, you know what, If, for example, his mom is a narcissist, I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist yet. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't really call it out, but there were certain behaviors that pointed in that direction. And at that time, I didn't know anything about narcissists. I didn't know anything about narcissism. I didn't know I didn't even know what the word was. I started learning about different types when I found that I was codependent, and I found out that I have a bloodline that does have narcissists in my family. But everything that did not make sense then, with everything that I'm learning now, I'm like, yo, I put all the pieces together. I put every piece of the puzzle together. And I was like, wow, wow. And I got to the point where I was like, all right, well, I guess maybe he did do me a favor. And maybe, man, like I said, it's not my family, and unfortunately to have certain behaviors and be okay with certain types of behaviors being done, I'm a mother. So to be okay with toxicity going on in my kid's life, or be okay with just having that dynamic, no, I wouldn't do that. And narcissists are known to do that. They're known to keep toxicity within a very close range, and then they just blame everybody else for it. Well, you're toxic, so you're like this and you're like that. And the thing is, it's like, yo, you created me. So if I'm a narcissist and my mother is a narcissist, my mother's telling me, Erica, you're toxic, you're a narcissist. Where the fuck do you think I learned this from? Where do you think I learned this behavior? Where do you think I learned this from? I didn't just pop out of your twat, excuse my French, but I didn't just pop out and say, I'm gonna be a narcissist for my life. No. These are behaviors. Yeah, these are behaviors that are learned. They're learned. Narcissist mothers, you know, are the type of mothers that I took care of you, now you got to take care of me. Because you know why, Clarabelle, it's true. Like, you know, we're not born with hardened hearts. We're not born with detachment. We're born with soft hearts. We're born with empathy. When a doctor hits us on our behinds when we come out, the first thing a baby does is cry. A baby doesn't know that crying means a sign of weakness. That's their natural response. They're going to cry. But when you have a man that's told by his father, crying is for girls, don't cry, you're a man. You're taught stuff like that. You're taught stuff like that. But I decided, like, as far as my codependency, to break cycles. Narcissism is the same way. It's about breaking cycles. It's about separating ourselves from that lifestyle. And unfortunately, you have so many people that are extremely narcissistic. They are narcs that are so embedded in that lifestyle that it's like they're too complacent. They're too complacent. They're like, yo, this is my life. This is me. And everybody tends to think that, not everybody, but a lot of people in society, they tend to think that narcissists are just the type of people that is like, oh, yeah, look at me, I'm beautiful, I'm this, I'm that. Look at my selfies and pictures in Hawaii and, cruises to the Bahamas. No, that's not just the type of narcissist that we're dealing with. That is a category of a certain type. We call them classic narcissists. Those are the classic ones. But we have different types. Classic, somatic, covert. They're more on that end. But you have more towards pathological. You have malignant, which are the really toxic ones, the ones that will create a dynamic of toxicity in your environment, the ones that will do anything to tear you down, that will do anything to destroy you, destroy your character, destroy your life, all because they want to get their own way. You have the not malignant, the cerebral ones, the ones who feel like they're godlike. They're so intelligent, but they're very subtle. They will insult you intelligibly And you wouldn't even really notice it because you're admiring their intellect, you're admiring who they are on a universal scale. You have the somatic ones, which are the more, they're the more flashy ones. They're the ones who, the somatic narcissists are the ones who, like, any single time, like, if they come outside, they have to be wearing, like, I mean, listen, I don't knock people for wearing expensive name brand, and it doesn't mean that you're necessarily a narcissist, but the somatic narcissists are the gold diggers. Those are the ones that will use you, they'll rob you blind, and just keep taking money out your pocket. So if you notice yourself buying her 5 Coach bags, listen, my purse has cost $20. I haven't even worn a purse in the past 2 years. So, but they're the ones who are they like to live the lifestyle of luxury, and yet they can't even afford that life themselves. They can't. So what do? They find some poor sap who has money in the bank, who maybe, maybe he looks good, maybe he doesn't. Maybe she looks good, maybe she doesn't, because it goes both ways. Somatic male narcs, somatic females. And they get what they want out of these people. And they use them, they abuse them, and then once they've depleted them, they discard them. They discard them with someone else. The malignant ones are the ones that can be very dangerous. Those are the ones that can, you have, for example, like the female malignant narcissist. Those are the ones who cry rape on people who never even put a finger on them. But because they're a woman, and because, they probably didn't get what they wanted out of a situation, so what do? They run with the narratives. This person raped me. Then what happens? That person gets locked up. Their life is in jeopardy because now they got to deal with the case. They may lose their job. They may lose their family. They may lose. And this could all be based on, it could be based on something really small, something minute. But they're willing to do that. Don't even get me started on a narcissistic sociopath, because those are even more dangerous. Those are the ones, Ted Bundy, the serial killer, he was a narcissistic sociopath. He managed to utilize charm to lure these women in. And what did he do? He ended up killing them. These are the type of people that they have so much, it's just like that dark, negative, nasty energy. And because it was something that was placed on them, they're projecting that onto you, because you love them, you care about them, you want to see them. And which I never understood that. If I love you and I care about you, and I'm trying to see you happy, what's the problem? Problem is, narcissists, they're siphons. They're never satisfied. They will never be happy. They will never be happy. Whether you have the bougie narcs or the closet ones that are just like home and just like, life's shitty, it is what it is. They are siphons. You can do anything. You can do anything to try to make them happy. Okay, ladies, you could walk into his bedroom with diamonds on your vajayjay. Don't matter. Does not matter. I relaxed. Glad you made it. But it doesn't matter, because at the end, if they get what they want, and if what you're giving to them doesn't fulfill them, all right, on to the next. And that's the same way with their parents. The parents got what they wanted. So now you're no longer on the pedestal. Now you're going to be, you're going to be the scapegoat. On a Monday, they treated you like a golden child. On a Thursday, they're treating you like a scapegoat. What the hell changed between those 2 days? Their mind. That's it. Their mind. Unfortunately, people, narcissists, they do exist. We're going through a pandemic. Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, Dre, I'm telling you. Because they were trained to be consistently dissatisfied. And that was because they internalized dissatisfaction from their parents. When I did the video on the daughters of narcissist mothers, the mother will create two types of daughters. She'll create a codependent daughter who will go in the world and try to seek emotional validation and emotional fulfillment from outside relationships, or a narcissist daughter who is emotionally unattached, who will basically just try to go into the world controlling relationships, because narcissists can't lose control. And a lot of these mothers, I notice, and that's one of the things I notice about a lot of mothers, especially, I'm even gonna lie, mothers of my generation, like I see them and they are focused more on being friends with their kids than they are being mothers to their children. And I have a problem with that. Like, listen, it's okay to be friends with your kids, but you have to be a mother first. And I think a mother who focuses too much on being friends with her daughter as opposed to being a mother with her daughter is because she does not emotionally attach with her daughter in that sense. So she's going to basically, create her daughter to be an extension of her. And narcissist mothers do that. They create their children to be extensions of themselves. So she's pretty much, by showing her daughter certain things, by, having her daughter feel certain ways, she's training her daughter on a psychological level. She's conditioning her daughter to be a certain way. So, guys, if you're dealing with females who are emotionally unavailable, chances are, I mean, listen, even if their mother's not a narcissist, chances are their mothers were emotionally avoidant. And the daughter took that as, well, you're emotionally avoidant. I'm going to be the same way because obviously I'm not good enough. Hey, girl. I'm not good enough to have your love, and you're my mother. So, you know what? That's just pretty much, I'm gonna be emotionally avoidant with. Oh, hold on one second, guys. Yes, relax says. Yeah, girl. I do. Well, she actually makes it really fun for me. Relax says people with narcissistic behavior can get help to not be that. Of course, they can. Absolutely. Just like I went and got help for my codependency, a narcissist can get help for the narcissism, for the, the narcissists. You know what? Like you see the brain here. This is how our brain looks, right? And we have different types of, we have different type of neurological wires in our brains. So they basically have their shit is all screwed up. It's distorted. Narcissism is a distorted way of thinking. So pretty much they had certain time, and let me tell you something, guys, just so you understand. If people have history of mental health issues in their family, that enhances the narcissism. So if you have someone who is a narcissist and they have history of, let's say, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, schizoid disorder, whatever the case may be, these types of hereditary traits can enhance the personality disorder. Environment plays a role, caregiving skills, that plays a role, but also mental health issues. If there are traits of mental health issues in the family, that plays a role as well. So keep that in mind when the next time, if you decide to get involved with someone, if you decide to, you know, learn about someone's background, find out, if you can find out whatever type of issues. I mean, I'm not saying that they wouldn't, they're not normal, and I'm not saying that, but if you have people that have history of mental health issues, which, let's face it, we all do. We all have family, that has some type of mental health issue. But at least now, learning all the things that you learn, you can say to yourself, all right, well, I'm learning the red flags, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. And you couple that with the knowledge of if someone has mental health issues or if people have mental health issues in their family, you know more or less what you can do from that point. You can say, nope, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. Or Gil says, my family is a mental. Well, you know what all of our families are. All of our families are. I mean, listen, we don't have perfect families. We can't pick or choose our families, you know. Butch says, is it common after discard for the narcissist to project bad behavior onto you during a smear campaign? Is that a common thing? Or how might make you feel like a narcissist? Okay, so is it common after discard for the narcissist to project bad behavior during a smear campaign? Yes, it is. In fact, it's not only common, but what a narcissist will do, a narcissist will create triangulation, okay? Whereas they will use the people, they're flying monkeys, which are people who have been manipulated by them, who have been told a story by them. And, you know, these flying monkeys they believe them. They believe everything they say. They will cause triangulation by trying to actually have their flying monkeys also attack you while they're doing a smear campaign. So it is definitely common for them to project their bad behavior. They do make you feel like you're the narcissist because you started seeing through bullshit. You started seeing through certain things. And when you started questioning certain things, and when you started saying to yourself, this is just, something's not right. Or if you started seeing through their gaslighting, or if you started seeing certain things going on that you would normally ignore, like you know, like all the red flags we ignore in the beginning. But when you start to notice certain things and you are standing up for yourself, there's a difference, guys. You know when something's not right. So when you start standing up for yourself, you start saying things that make sense, that are logical, they naturally are going to try to flip everything around. So let's say, for example, you have a toxic dynamic, toxic relationship. And I mean, listen, I was a codependent. So some of the things I contributed was toxic, and I'm not going to deny that. But to be told that it's toxic because of me, that I have a problem with. But that's another story. They will flip it around to make it seem like you are the one who wants to be in control all the time. You are the one who always has to say what goes and always has to, you know, their thing is, or they may even flip it and say, you were being inconsiderate. You were, you know, just being a toxic person, while they were just, what were they doing? Nothing. They weren't doing anything because they won't take accountability for anything that they do. So even if the both of you were contributing toxic dynamics, they won't take accountability. It's all about you. You're the one who, you know, who made things go the way they did. You're the one who created the problems. You're the one who was insecure. You are the one who was jealous. You are you. You see how they just, you know, just throw it right at you? Most uncomfortable thing that I had to do was validate my mom and let her know she was codependent, like how I was, and her mom. My grandmother's narcissism wasn't her fault. It's, again, it's conditioned learning. Often we internalize because when it starts off at a really young age, when we're kids, we believe anything, right? When we're kids, we believe anything. We will believe that, you know, that I'm sorry, guys, give me 1 second. Just gotta pull this because I gotta plug this other phone in. We'll believe anything. We believe in what? We believed in Santa Claus. We believed in ghosts. We believed in, you know, the boogeyman. We believed in all that. So it's really quite easy to manipulate a child and condition them to believe whatever a parent wants them to believe. So if your mother wanted you to believe, oh, let's just go back. If your grandmother wanted your mother to believe that, you know, her love Your grandmother's love is like hot commodity, and your mother has to do certain things to gain her love. First of all, love between a parent and their child should be given freely. That's what love is. You give your love freely. You do not make it to where I have to do certain things to make you proud of me, or to make you, to show me that you love me. I have to, I have to be a certain way to get you to notice me. I have to be this way. That's what creates codependency. When a parent says, not says, but when a parent pretty much does certain things to where they're like, you know, whatever, like if you go to your parent and let's say they're a narc, and you say, Mom, look at this project that I did, da 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 da, whatever, and your mom's like, all right, yeah, all right, whatever. You think, well, damn, could have been a beautiful project. Could have been something like, you could have written a book, and you could have been like, look, Mom, I wrote my first book, and I did this and I did that. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right, it's fine. But the minute you mention, but Mom, I sold 800,000 copies of this book. Oh, Mom's happy. Mom is happy. Mom is so happy because you know what? You sold 800,000 copies of that book. So she knows you're going to get paper. And she knows that you became a success. Not only is she going to be happy because obviously she's looking at it like, oh, well, I'm your mom. I took care of you. Maybe you could take care of me. But she's also going to take credit for you, not for you writing your book, but for you having the knowledge and having the talent of writing that book. Just a minute ago, you said, Mom, I wrote a book. And she's like, yeah, okay, whatever. All right. So like, you want a cookie? But the minute you mention, well, I sold 900,000 copies of this book. That's how a narcissist mother is. You make all this money, so now you can take care of me. Because, and not only that, but if it wasn't for her, doing whatever it is that she did to, give you room and board, food, shelter, all this stuff or whatever. If it wasn't for Mom, where would you be? You wouldn't have been able to write this book if it wasn't for Mom. But now if this book was a failure, if this book only sold 500 copies, you didn't get that from me. You didn't get any of that from me. They will account for your successes, but they will not account for your failures. They'll be proud of you. No, let me use the quotation marks. Proud of you if you succeed, but they will not take any kind of notice or any kind of accountability if you failed. That's how a narcissist mother is. And everything that a child does for a narcissist parent is deemed not good enough, because what did I say earlier? They're siphons. They'll never be satisfied. They'll never be happy. They will never be happy. They'll just be like, when I did my narcissist mother videos and I learned that, they are narcissistic mothers are very extremely manipulative. And because of the fact that they're female, it makes them worse. The male narcissist, the fathers, can be aggressive. They could be verbally aggressive. They could be physically harm you. Mothers do that too, so I'm not just putting it on the men. They can physically harm you. But the mothers, man, they're women, they know how to get away with a lot of shit. They know how to get away with a lot of shit. And they just sit there running with the narrative of, I'm mom. And if you put her in her place, or if you tell her, yeah, I'm not dealing with your shit, or if you tell her, I know what you're doing, what is she going to do? She's going to cry the victim. My kids don't appreciate me. They don't appreciate anything I do. You guys won't appreciate me. You don't, I'm your mother and I was there for you and I provided for you. Yeah, you provided. You provided because you felt you had to, because you did not want to face criticism from other people who are telling you you are a parent. This is something you must do as a parent. Otherwise, why have children? You can't criticize them. You have narcissists in your midst, you can't criticize them. So anybody that you criticize, if they snap at you or if they try to like say or do something to hurt you, watch out for that, because that's just, you can't criticize them. They're too perfect in their own eyes. They're too perfect. Their egos, if you criticize them, their ego will just completely like shatter, because narcissists, they have big egos, but they're very thin, extremely thin. But that's the different types of issues that you face in dealing with narcissists, guys. One, not worth it. So not worth it. If you have any in your midst, cut them loose. Cut them off. Let them go. Don't bother with them. Two, if you have to co-parent with them, minimal contact, because it's just like that type of frustration and aggravation is just, it's too much to deal with. It's too much. And not only that, you don't want your kids growing up like that, man. You got to break those cycles. You don't want your kids having that. Like, especially if you are empathetic and you love your children. Don't if you know the other parent is a narcissist, I mean, listen, I'm not going to say snatch up your kid and kidnap them, but just try to be in your child's life as much as you possibly can, because you need to know what's going on. You need to know what's going on behind closed doors. Because I know a few people who have co-parented with narcissists, and the kid is just led to believe that, you know, the person on my end, the person that I know is, you know, is just, it's nothing, is what's the word for it, guys? Is a deadbeat. And yet they will do anything. They'll give their lives for their kids. But because the other co-parent is a narcissist, the other co-parent is putting that other parent down in front of their kids. And they're like, you know, meantime, when you have one parent that wants to see their child, the other parent who has the child is restricting that parent. But yet they're not telling the child that they're restricting them. No, they're telling them, oh, see, look, your father, your mother, they don't even hit you up. They don't even want to say, you know, say anything to you. They don't even want to come and see you. They don't want to do any of these things. That's a big form of manipulation. And that's to gain the child as a flying monkey. That's to keep the child on your side. I wish I could. What I'm going to do next week, guys, I'm going to do a little list. But what I want you, what I want you guys to do, let me know exactly what it is you would like for me to talk about. If you want me to discuss certain things in certain videos. I had a plan in this particular live. I really had a plan, and I had it right here on my computer, and I still, yet again, let my ADD get the best of me, and I go running in so many different directions. We'll work this out next week. But I wanted so much to focus on this, but you know, you guys had such really good questions, and you know, your feedback was kind of, which is great. So don't stop. Trust me, don't stop. But I definitely want to get more into the nitty-gritty of it. Again, I'm going to, because I'm studying the intricacies, you know, the psyche. I'm studying this and connecting it, and just understand that when it boils down to, oh, you're welcome, Para. You're very welcome. When it boils down to narcissism, it is a conditioned learning by association, okay? By behaviors of association. So just know that if you're dealing with someone who is a narcissist, relatives, romantic interests, whomever, if you're dealing with someone who's a narcissist, just know that, number one, what I tell you guys before, do not internalize. Don't take it as your problem. It's not your problem. Number two, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, it does not matter. They are who they are. Can they change? Yes, but that depends if they want to change. If you have someone who doesn't look at themselves as being a problem, doesn't really matter. Does not matter, because then they will never want to change. Do not let what they do get to you. Those are all tactics, okay? The common tactics, smear campaign, which was what Mr. Overton was talking about. Smear campaign, which is defaming your character. Triangulation, trying to make you jealous by utilizing other people. Also trying to get other people on the bandwagon to run your name in the dirt, to hurt you. They will try a number of tactics. Hoovering, that's of course after everything is said and done and you've decided to detach and move on with your life and just, you know, heal yourself. And what happens when they want to try to come back in? Don't go for that either. Next week, guys, I'm starting to lose my voice. Oh my gosh. I've never talked so much. We'll go over everything. We'll go over everything. But if you have questions, or if you have suggestions on what topics to discuss, throw me 5. All right, I'm gonna put up 5 topics. Thank you for joining, Samantha. I'm gonna put up 5 topics that we can discuss in next week's live. So please throw me suggestions so I know more or less what to cover for you guys. Okay, I wanna be able to cover everything for you guys, as my videos haven't, but I want to cover so much for you guys. And I'll talk more into regards to this book that I'm studying. I can't wait either. I can't wait for you guys to come back. I cannot believe, my gosh, my voice. I use my voice for everything. We're gonna talk more though. And it's gonna make more sense, a lot more sense. So my lives, you guys know me. You guys know I jump from everything. I jump from, but as long as you guys understand, that's what matters to me. And if I'm able to use myself as a story, as a testimony for you, I'm more than glad to do it because, you know, we've all been through it. The next sip and chat, I'm gonna speak with my friend Amanda, because what we're gonna do is we have mics. So we're going to try to set everything up so that way we can have a good quality video. But thank you, Relaxed. But we're gonna see when the next time is, and I'll set that up. We'll get the wine and see what next drink she'll have the next time. Okay, Butch, you're very welcome, and thank you for joining. You're welcome, Drea, very welcome. But guys, next week we'll definitely get more into things, and I will keep it steady. Yes, Samantha, wine goes best with everything. Wine goes with everything. So you already know how that goes. I'll make sure to have my AC on this time and make sure it's blaring, because we have all these lights, and then, you know, with the alcohol, and it makes it so hot, and it's like, but we definitely have a lot of fun making those videos too, and we'll definitely do another one for you guys. And next week I'm gonna set up some different topics to do. Oh, Tracy, thank you. I think I just got, hold on 1 second, on how narcissists evolve into a higher range. Do you mean on the spectrum, like a higher range of narcissism, like on pathological narcissism, because that's how it gets higher on the spectrum? Or as far as evolving period, like if they do evolve, so that way I know how to specify. But next week, guys, I'm going to keep it accordingly. Okay, I'm going to keep it accordingly. That way I can answer as many questions as need be. And of course, hear you guys out. You guys, you're here for the chat. So I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love for you to, you know, let me know your experiences, and let me know how your healing is going. And, you know, again, this is a no judgment zone. So whatever you've been through, I'm pretty sure we all been through it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been through it. And you never know, somebody may need to hear your story. Somebody may need to hear certain things to help them get through the emotions. Because if I hadn't gone through a certain problem that someone's going through, but you had, your story can help them. And how you heal can help them. And how you manage can help them. That's the point of the chat. Everyone who gets involved, thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to set this up much better for you guys. So next week, please be here at, I'm going to do next week's live at 9. I'm going to do it at 9. We'll see how it goes. I'll do it at 9 o'clock, and it won't be for too long. Relax. What was that? I'm gonna set it for 9 o'clock, and so we can people can have time to come in, because I noticed that around this time more people are coming in, so I think it might be a time frame thing. So I'll definitely do that, and I'll have everything more organized for you guys, so we could definitely discuss a lot of the important topics and details. Because if not, I will be rambling, and you guys know me. I love to ramble, so much to the point where I'm losing my voice. So guys, it's almost 9:30. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for getting involved. Thank you so much for the questions, suggestions. Thank you so much for your stories. I have had people reach out to me through email and through my podcast. You guys are awesome, and I'm so glad that my content helps you all. I'm so glad that I'm able to break things down, and I'm looking forward to breaking even more down for you. So please be sure to go through, if you haven't already, or if you're new and you just wanted to see how it turned out, please be sure to go through my videos, through some of my content. It helps you on every aspect of narcissism. It helps you on every aspect of emotional manipulators, because that's exactly what they are. And of course, if you do have questions, suggestions, leave a comment in the comment section for me. I always answer all of the everyone who comments. I always reach out to you guys. You guys are the best, and I really am appreciative of the love and support that you've shown. So I'm gonna go grab something to drink so I can calm my throat. And again, leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions. And before you leave, please like the video. It's a little longer than anticipated, but it's worth it for you guys. So guys, again, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Cógelo con teque. Relax, only you, right? Only you. I will see you guys next week, and I will do the live. It's going to be, my eyelash is sticking. It's going to be at 9 p.m. So we're going to set it up for 9 p.m. next week, so you guys have time to come in and join us in the chat. So much love to you guys. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, guys, namaste. I'll see you guys next week.